Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to set up a transition matrix from a diagram and putting that into the matrix form. With this, I'll also give you a couple of hints with the matrix. So just some tips on the lay, and then we'll also have a practice question on how to find some matrix elements in a transition matrix. So stay tuned. Okay, so what I wanted to talk today about was transition matrices. Now, transition matrices are determined generally from a diagram or information. In your exam, they might just provide you with the matrix itself, but it is important to know how to get from the diagram to the matrix. So what we've got here is a diagram, and it's got three titles. So we've got art, which is here, we've got music, and then also sport. And this is in relation to 300 students. So the context of this is each week there are 300 students at a primary school who choose art, music or sport as an afternoon activity. And what we need to do first is we need to find the transition matrix showing how the students' choices change from week to week. Okay, so this is our diagram here. This is representing the information. Let's go ahead and first analyze this diagram. So that's going from week to week. So if this week they choose a particular activity, next week it might be a different activity. Okay, so firstly let's have a look. So we'll get a different colour first to demonstrate this. So this week, one student picks art. There is a 50% chance that next week they will also pick art, okay? Now, this week, one student picks sport. There is a 50% chance that next week they may choose sport. And then music. So this week a student picks music. There is a 40% chance that they might pick music again. Let's have a look at art. Let's just focus on this vertex to start off with. So we've already identified that there's a 50% chance that the student doing art this week may do art again next week. Now, there's a 30% chance that the student doing art this week may choose to do music next week. And then there's a 20% chance that the student doing art this week may choose to do sport next week. So each vertex, art, music and sport, they all express this. It all shows that a student doing this activity this week may either choose to do this activity again next week or they may choose a different one. And what these values here indicate, it indicates the percentage or the chance that the student is going to change or the likelihood that they're going to choose a different one. Now let's go ahead and represent this into a matrix. So I'm going to call this matrix T for transition matrix. Let's just make this a bit smaller to start off with. Okay. Now the top one, this is going to show this week's choices, and then the side is going to show next week's. Okay. Now that might need to be a little bit different. So we have three categories. We've got art, music, and sport. So I'm just going to write A, M, and S to represent those values. Okay, so let's put these values here, these 50%, 30%, 40%, etc. Let's put those values into the matrix. So we'll start off with art. So this week, a student picks art. There's a 50% chance that they're going to pick art next week as well. So that's for this position here. And it's a 50% chance, so as a decimal, that's 0.5. Because we deal with actual values in a matrix, not percentages, we need to put it as a decimal. Okay, now this week a student picks music. Now next week they might pick art. So we need to identify what's the percentage of students going from music to art. So here is music, and we can see that it's 40% here. 40% of students go from music to art. So it's going to be 0.4. And then sport to art, sport travelling to art is 10%, so 0.1. All right, now let's go through and fill out the others. So art to music, well, art to music, that's 30%, so 0.3. And music to music, well, that's 0.4 again. And then sport to music, is 0.4 again. That's nice. Okay, now art to sport, that's 0.2. Music to sport, that is 0.2. And sport to sport is 0.5. Excellent. So that's filled out. So this is now our transition matrix. And what it's saying, it's explaining to us the transitions that the students will go through between their changes in activity from week to week. Now, there's an important thing to point out with this transition matrix. Firstly, all the columns should equal 1. So let's go and add those up quickly. So this column, so we've got 0.5 plus 0.3 plus 0.2. Well, that equals 1. Now, the music column, 0.4 plus 0.4 plus 0.2, that also equals 1. And you bet this one here, the sport column, well, we know that one also equals 1. This is how we know our transition matrix is correct, that it's sound, that everything adds up. Because with percentages in particular, for something to be complete, it has to be 100%. And that's why all these columns need to equal 1. They need to be complete, they need to equal 100. So that's why they all add up to 1. Okay, so now it's your chance to have a go. So we have the transition matrix here, which has got X, Y, and Z. I haven't provided you a diagram. I simply want you to look at the transition matrix for this question. And what I want you to do is find the variables A, B, and C. Now keep in mind all the columns have to add up to 1. Have a go, pause the video now, and we'll come back once you've completed it. Okay, so hopefully you've had a little bit of a shot at this now. So let's go through to the answers. So for the first column, we're just focusing on this first X column here. Now, keeping in mind that all the values have to add up to 1. So that means that 0.2 plus A plus 0.4 must equal 1. Now, when we add the like terms together, we get 0.6 and A equals to 1. And once we work that out, we find that A equals 0.4. Okay, moving on to the Y column now. So we've got B plus 0.1 plus 0.6 is equal to 1. Now add everything up. So B plus 0.7 is equal to 1. And then when we solve, we find that B equals 0.3. And lastly, column Z. Well, that's pretty easy. It's 0 plus 0 plus Z equals 1. And we know straight away that Z equals 1. Well, thanks for watching today, guys. Hopefully you found this video pretty helpful in terms of just an introduction to transition matrices and how we can find them from a diagram, and also just the values and how they all correlate and work together. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how we can interpret the transition matrix and understand what the values mean in terms of a specific context. So I'll put a link to that video down below, and thanks for watching.